By the 17th century, the Mughal Empire consumed the Indian subcontinent. Their borders pushed relentlessly eastward, driven by a highly organized military machine. They set their sights on Assam's Brahmaputra Valley. Dense with natural resources, taking it would open a strategic gateway further east. But the Mughal army was designed for open plains. Their combat strength relied on massive, sweeping charges of heavy cavalry and sprawling infantry formations. Assam, by contrast, is a restrictive maze of dense tropical forests, steep hills, and volatile rivers. This timeline visualizes the result of that geographical mismatch. Between 1616 and 1682, the Mughals launched 17 separate invasions into Ahom territory. Every single wave was repelled. The Ahom kingdom did not survive those 6 decades by luck. They engineered a highly specific, localized system of asymmetric warfare to dismantle a massively outnumbering opponent. The foundation of their defense was a civic structure known as the pike system. Under Ahom law, every able-bodied adult male was required to rotate into state service, splitting his life between agricultural labor and military duty. Because of this rotation, the state avoided the massive economic drain of feeding and paying a professional standing army during peacetime. Yet, the moment an invasion loomed, they could instantly mobilize tens of thousands of trained men from their own villages. Those mobilized workers were also rapid combat engineers. They built structures called gars, fortifications made from tightly packed mud, wood, and bamboo. By integrating these walls directly into the steep natural hills, they created highly defensible artificial choke points across the valley. In the Ahom strategy, there was no division between the military and the civilian population. The society itself and the infrastructure it built functioned as a mobilized weapon. That weapon was guided by a specific combat doctrine. Prime Minister Etan Berhagohain developed a strategy locally known as Daga Judha. The core rule was simple: absolutely refuse to engage the Mughals in pitched open-field battles. Instead, the Ahom commanders used the dense, low-visibility jungle to their tactical advantage. They focused entirely on night raids, striking from the shadows to wipe out isolated patrols and surgically severing Mughal supply lines. They also exploited the regional climate. During the heavy monsoon rains, the Ahom forces would deliberately breach the river embankments. The resulting floods turned the plains into deep, marshy swamps, instantly neutralizing the heavy Mughal cavalry. Daga Judha was a calculated method of attrition. It took the Mughal military's massive land-based weight and turned it into a starving, exhausted logistical liability. With the land routes effectively impassable, any invading army had to rely on the region's main artery, the Brahmaputra River. It served as both the primary supply highway and the ultimate battlefield. To dominate that water, the Ahoms built a specialized navy around bacharis. They were sleek, lightweight warboats designed specifically to navigate the shallow channels and unpredictable currents of the Brahmaputra. This schematic shows how the Ahoms executed their naval tactics. While the Mughals brought massive, lumbering warships, the bacharis could dart around them effortlessly. They would swarm the heavier vessels in narrow passages, frequently deploying fire ships to burn the Mughal fleet right on the water. By maintaining absolute supremacy over the riverine network, the Ahoms forced the Mughals to fight exactly where and when the local forces had the advantage. Executing a strategy this precise required utter ruthlessness. The commander-in-chief of the Ahom forces, Lachit Borfukan, demanded absolute, unquestionable discipline. He executed his own uncle on the spot for falling behind schedule constructing a critical fortification. That discipline met its ultimate test in 1671 at the Battle of Saraighat. The Mughals launched a massive, desperate naval push to finally break the Ahom line. To make matters worse, Borfukan was violently ill and bedridden as the attack began. Seeing his front line begin to buckle under the assault, Borfukan demanded his men carry his sickbed onto a warboat. He ordered his rowers to charge straight into the center of the Mughal fleet. Watching their deathly ill commander throw himself into the line of fire sent a psychological shockwave through the Ahom ranks. Thousands of small boats swarmed the river in a sudden, furious counterattack that completely crushed the Mughal naval forces. You can have the perfect terrain and the smartest tactical playbook, but asymmetric warfare ultimately requires a fanatic level of psychological momentum and leadership to succeed. The final blow came slightly over a decade later, in 1682. Under the rule of King Gadadhar Singha, the Ahom army achieved a decisive victory at the Battle of Itakuli, bringing a conclusive end to more than 60 years of conflict. The Mughals were permanently expelled from the region, and the western boundary of the Ahom kingdom was firmly cemented at the Manas River. The Mughal Empire possessed virtually limitless wealth, vast reserves of professional soldiers, and the most advanced military hardware on the continent. The Ahoms fought back with mud forts, riverboats, and a civilian militia. By understanding the extreme constraints of their own environment, the Ahoms proved that immense numerical and technological advantages can be neutralized entirely when a determined people weaponize their own landscape.